The Honourable Deputy Government House Leader.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House do now rise and meet tomorrow at the hours of 12 noon to 10 p.m. And after that, we'll start off with the daily routine. During those hours, daily routine, Committee of the Whole House on Bills and Public Bills third reading and private members' public bills, Mr. Speaker.
Motion is the House adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow. Is it agreed? All those in favour say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion is carried. The House is adjourned. The honourable member for Pictou East on the adjourned debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm honoured to have the opportunity tonight to rise in my place to speak about the prosperity in my constituency of Pictou East. It's an opportunity to highlight the many initiatives underway, initiatives that are designated to create healthy, prosperous communities in every region of the province. We intend to make Nova Scotia the best place in Canada to live, work, and raise a family by 2010. We'll reach that goal. We'll do it by tapping into the talents and creativity of Nova Scotians through our economic growth strategy. The latest employment report from Statistics Canada, released on May the 9th, shows the total number of Nova Scotians employed for the month of April 2003 at 439,000. That's an increase of 2,700 jobs over the last month and 29,900 jobs since 1999. It's also the 6th time in 18 months that Nova Scotia has set a new record for jobs. And these figures are supported by Statistics Canada, Mr. Speaker. Nova Scotia has been sharing in the highest levels of economic activity in the country. Our growth strategy has been responsible for investments of more than $40 million in municipal infrastructure. We have doubled our investment in our ferries, bridges, roads, and highways. Regional development authorities have continued to grow investments and jobs in Nova Scotia and rural communities. Through Community Economic Development Investment Funds, $4 million has been made available for these investments in local businesses. Over 400 individual Nova Scotia investors have raised more than $2 million in this year alone. The cooperative sector is also an important partner. Small business finance options specifically aimed at community development are about to be expanded through the credit union system. In providing access to the credit and financing, we're keeping investment in Nova Scotia, giving small businesses a chance to create even more jobs. Simply put, we're giving communities the power to prosper. We know that small businesses account for 80% of our economy. That's one of the reasons we are developing a community economic development policy. Over the next several months, people in over 25 communities across the province will be asking about the challenges and opportunities they face in growing the economy. We want to create a community economic development policy that reflects the views of the people who live and work there, the people who know their community best. We want the people to think about how to integrate economic development with broader community development and social programs. We want to help build on the assets already in communities and ensure that Nova Scotians in every corner of the province can thrive. Last week, the Premier kicked off a discussion in Truro that brought together social, cultural, business, and government representatives to help outline a plan for prosperity. We are connecting Nova Scotia to the world through fully integrated telecommunications and digital connections. In fact, we're now at a Canadian leader in community connections. And that's what will keep small businesses growing and our community healthy, Mr. Speaker. It is critical that we keep our eye on the opportunities for innovation in the industries of the future, along with those who have sustained us for many, many years. We are welcoming new sectors and the jobs they bring, such as the IT jobs that have been opening in my area through Converges. The Pictou County Connects project supports local jobs by making businesses and their employees increasingly ready for the knowledge economy. In partnership with the federal government, we managed the development of the province's CAP network, a network of hundreds of internet access sites that can link businesses and markets or any knowledge base in the world. We continue to work with the private sector and educational institutions to create a cultural innovation. And Nova Scotia Business Inc. has met with more than 500 businesses, providing advice on identifying new export opportunities and discovering new markets. We've balanced two budgets, reduced taxes, and made strategic investments in our workforce and infrastructure. In other words, we've created a climate for business of any size. We've made a great deal of progress, largely because we believe in the strength of our province and in our ability to be the best. And Mr. Speaker, it's the best we'll be. That's why our growth strategy is working. That's why it will continue to work for the long-term prosperity and self-sufficiency of Nova Scotians. It means that our young people won't have to leave our communities and our province to wealthier provinces or the United States for opportunities they couldn't find at home. They are creating opportunities here in Nova Scotia. Mr. Speaker, this had been a hard and sad fact for Nova Scotian families for decades. But now, Mr. Speaker, the cycle has been broken. The jobs will be in Nova Scotia. I was proud to be part of an announcement this spring, an announcement that meant a great deal to our young people. That is the expansion of the Nova Scotia Community College, an investment over the years of $123 million. At our Pictou campus alone, Mr. Speaker, our government is investing $11.2 million and will be adding 364 seats to provide invaluable opportunities for our students, our future. It's just tremendous news. I was proud to be part of a government which finally provided tangible proof of our strong commitment to the Nova Scotia college system. We have needed an expanded system to provide the training to support our citizens to take advantage of emerging economic opportunities. I was fascinated to learn that in the past 5 years, the Nova Scotia Community College has modified 50% of their 100 programs to match employer needs for skilled workers. That shows just how closely our college system is working alongside this province's employers. As a father and a grandfather, I know just how important it is to ensure that our young people have the educational opportunities that match those within the job markets so that we can keep our families together. So this long-term injection of funds to the community college is definitely music to my ears. This initiative is thanks to top-rate campus principals like Mike Hill of our Pictou campus back home, and Nova Scotia Community College President Ray Ivany for their vision and faith in the community college system. I understood the importance of such investments to constituents in Pictou East, and I've worked hard to see those come through. And we are continuing to invest in our infrastructure like roads, links which are key to our our economy's health, Mr. Speaker. In fact, Mr. Speaker, in Pictou East, over $900,000 was spent through the RIM Fund in the last 2 fiscal years. Money that went directly into our roads and bridges. The opening of the rest area on Highway 104 near Westville also is good economic news. It's created over 40 jobs. It was good news for the travelers and greatly supported by the tourist industry and truckers alike. And with the improvements already made on Highway 104, and now with plans to twin Highway 104, our vital transportation routes and commuters on those routes are getting a lift they definitely need. These really are good reasons to be optimistic, Mr. Speaker. And as I spoke in this House before, the people of Pictou County are working through an economic business summit to come up with more ideas to help improve our economy. Ours is a constituency where our history and our heritage is important, but our future is even more important. I had the pleasure of being invited to the 3rd Pictou County Business Summit this spring. I was very impressed with not only the individuals who have involved themselves in this process, but of the ideas and excitement they are generating. They look at the government's action plan for Nova Scotia's economic growth, opportunities for prosperity, and challenge themselves to look for new solutions to our growth and our local economy. I'm very proud to represent the incredible people of Pictou East whose spirit and drive is second to none. Mr. Speaker, I am also very proud to be part of a government which has served this province so well. Of course, our course is taking the province in the right direction. We have made a difference, but there is still more work to be done. I look forward to this government's having a second mandate so that we can continue with our plans for economic growth and prosperity for all Nova Scotians. With momentum on our side, we will forge ahead with your interests as our priority. We'll target investments in key growth sectors, common sense decision-making, and lower taxes for hard-working families to ensure that Pictou County remains an economic leader in Nova Scotia and indeed in Canada. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to rise and speak tonight about the beautiful constituency of Pictou East.
The honourable member for Hants East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'll like to add my comments to the debate. I want to say that the honourable member from Pictou East paints a pretty optimistic picture, and I'm thinking it must be just a pigment of his imagination. I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that there's a few things that have been happening recently that should cause that member and all the members from Pictou County to stop and take notice. And I think the best indication of that was when all of the Tory members in the House met with the Shinekto Central Regional School Board. And the reason they met with the Shinekto Central Regional School Board, well, there may have been many, but I know one of them was because the board is cutting staff, and that those cuts are going to impact Cumberland County and Pictou County. And Mr. Speaker, why would the board cut staff in Pictou County? Well, I'm going to tell you why the board would do that. The board is cutting staff in Pictou County because student numbers are dropping in Pictou County. And why are student numbers dropping in Pictou County? Because there's not as many young families staying or young people staying and having families in Pictou County. And that, to me, would indicate that if this government has a strategy, which I don't believe they do, around economic development, it certainly isn't working in Pictou County. And the honourable member had mentioned about young people staying in the province. Well, they may stay in some parts of the province. I would say he probably could look and see that migration is probably heading toward the Halifax area if it's not leaving the province. And actually, there was a couple of young constituents of mine. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time about a week and a half ago, weekend before last, Mr. Speaker, and ran into them. The car was packed. They were heading for Alberta, and the honourable member for Pictou East can take some solace in the fact that they weren't from Pictou County. They were actually from Hants East, from the Mount Uniacke area. But that is a fairly telling tale, I think, about some of the young people in this province who are leaving to look for work. Now, what are some of the other things that have happened in Pictou County? Well, the Sutherland Harris Hospital has been stripped of many of its services under this administration, and that has to, that's something that people in Pictou County still feel, Mr. Speaker. Roads, if the honourable member was able to get I thought he said 900,000 in rim money in 2 years. I have to check and see what's been spent in Hants East in 2 years. That sure sounds like a lot of money, and if I could say we had that much spent in Hants East, I'd be glad to say it. And the one thing about that rim money that I do not like is it winds up in private hands, and some of those rim jobs, as much as I'm glad to see them get done, quite often we have to go back because of staff cuts in the Department of Transportation and Public Works. There's no one there to supervise these jobs, and quite often contractors come in, do the work, and leave, and whether they're done correctly or incorrectly, there's no one there to observe that or supervise it, and then the department has to come back and do the remedial work to fix some of those jobs. The honourable member talking about the highway, the twinning of the highway, he didn't mention, and I'm sure just a slip on his part, about the Alma Loop and the businesses that were on the old highway there, that when the new highway was built, that bypassed them. There was someone given a grant of $200,000, I think, to build a truck stop at exit, I think it's exit 21, maybe exit 20, and I may be wrong, but there was nothing offered to those businesses, Mr. Speaker, to help them, the ones that were going to be mostly impacted. And these were entrepreneurs from Pictou who had invested some of their money and their sweat equity to develop businesses along that route. I'm assuming one of the large employers there would be Kimberly-Clark, used to be Scott Paper, and the honourable member never mentioned the impact of Kimberly-Clark on the economy, which, as far as the mill and the jobs, would be significant, but he didn't include the fact that Kimberly-Clark has refused to buy round wood from small private woodlot owners. They're only interested in buying chips, and they've been to court with woodlot owner organizations trying to establish what the contracts mean in terms of what wood actually is. And the round wood, to me, would seem to be wood, since for a few hundred years that's what people bought and sold in this province. So the government has not moved in any way to exert any pressure on Kimberly-Clark to abandon this notion of only buying chips. I think the people of Pictou County are quite resilient, Mr. Speaker. I think they've done well, or fairly well, in spite of this government. But they certainly can't say that the people in Pictou County have been well served and have improved their status in this province because of this government. Now, one of the main things I would think of when I think about Pictou County is agriculture. The Agricultural College is putting up its tuition this coming year. I know there's a Pictou County Cattlemen's Association. Beef in this province, we only supply 14% of our province's own needs, Mr. Speaker, and it's been calculated that if we supplied 100% or close, it'd be worth about $80 million to the economy of this province, and there's been no move by this government or the previous government to actually put a strategy in place that would address the concern that cattlemen in this province have, that they actually can't get the price that they need for their beef in order to be an incentive for them to produce more of it. If they could make money, they'd do it, and the industry would expand. And I intended to keep my comments as short as possible, Mr. Speaker, and with that, I'll relinquish the floor to another member. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all members for taking part in the debate this evening, and the House is adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow.